Recently, I've been having to work on setting healthy boundaries. I just feel like I'm in a new space and I just don't want to tolerate or put up with anything at this point. And I don't need to be bitchy or anything like that. I just need to stand firm in my decision and be okay with what comes with it. Some areas that I need to set boundaries for is saying yes to every gathering so I don't miss out on it. Basically breaking my pockets, being broke, trying to show off for people who don't even matter, and going on my way to do certain things for people that I really don't want to do. And instead of worried about my happiness, I'm sitting here just doing things because I don't want to cause any conflict or make someone feel some type of way when that's not fair to myself. This goes for my kids too. Like my son, he asks me to do the most. I don't know if it's because we built that type of relationship where he just wants to come to me and he feels comfortable enough to ask me. Maybe it's because I never say no. I don't know what it is, but he will come to me for everything, over his friends, over his dad. He just comes to me. And I know he means no harm, but I just had to set boundaries where I'm basically delegating some of those duties and like, no, I can't, or go ask your dad. And he'd be like, okay. Like, it's literally that simple. And as you start to know your self-worth, I believe that you start to have an understanding of when you're being taken advantage of or when you're just dealing with things that you don't deserve. And something that comes up from finding peace and knowing the truth behind how the world works, knowing that, just being so understanding, knowing that people have their own traumas, they weren't raised properly, they didn't have the right guidance, whatever the case may be. Sometimes you can be too understanding and excuse those actions for maybe they just didn't know any better, or I've been in that space before, so I understand where they're coming from and why they made that decision that they made. Then you start to give people passes for the way that they reacted to something or an action that they decided to make based off of your understanding of certain situations and circumstances, and have an understanding of why they reacted that way. In my personal opinion and experience, I realized that sometimes being too understanding almost enables them for their behaviors. Now, say if it's not even the same situation that is being experienced or that is being portrayed, but the more that you go on, I feel like, as I said, this is me personally, I feel like the more that I'm understanding and I'm talking to them about it and it's like, okay, we can move past this, I feel like eventually they just start to get comfortable with navigating that way because they know, okay, what we're going to do is talk about this. What we're going to do is have an understanding. This person will understand, so I can just move on. And basically, it makes their negative actions justifiable when they're really not. And this is not only enabling, but I also feel like sometimes people can take advantage of your kindness, and they take your kindness for weakness and feel like, even if it's not intentional, a lot of stuff that I say is like unintentional, unconscious, you know what I mean? So it's like sometimes people do things not even knowing that they're doing it, but that's why there has to be some type of boundary set so that you're letting them know that this is not okay and this cannot continue. And I know growth is all about being positive and being kind to others, but on the other hand, you're not going to take advantage and you're not going to treat me any type of way and just get away with it. That's just not happening. And depending on the severity of the situation, actually, it doesn't even matter severity. If it's happening, it's happening. I think that I had to start being vocal, and it was a requirement for me to communicate how I need to be loved, how I need to be treated, and what I'm just not going to tolerate and put up with. And doing this just allows me to realize I don't need to be angry at people for treating me the way that I allowed them to treat me. And that's because it was never expressed. So they didn't know that it wasn't acceptable. I can't fault them for that because I didn't know how to communicate it. And me communicating this is not, as I stated before, I don't need to be rude. I don't need to be smart about it. I just need to be clear and firm on how our relationship, no matter what type of relationship it is, how it's going to play out moving forward. I want to leave you with this. Setting boundaries improves relationships no matter what type of relationship it is. It's your life to live and others need to accept that. And one thing I noticed, I think it's the fear behind speaking your mind and speaking up for yourself. It's almost scary because you feel like you're going to lose people. But I think if you have confidence with what you're speaking, they're going to be okay with the decision and what you're saying to them and that boundary that you're setting. And also, if you lose people for setting a healthy boundary for yourself and letting them know how to treat you as a human and as a person, they weren't really even meant to be in your life anyway. It's that simple. Moving forward, we are setting healthy boundaries for ourselves. We're speaking them confidently. And from there, whoever is still remaining after that, those are the people who are supposed to be in our lives. And that's just what it is from that. And I do believe that this is a significant area that needs to be focused on in a lot of individuals' lives, because it's our lives to live. We have to be able to vocalize how we feel, and if we're being mistreated or if there's a certain way that we need to be treated, how else is anyone going to know if we're not speaking up and letting them know that criteria and how it's supposed to go moving forward. So keep that in mind, and I shall see you in the next video.